The BBC has announced changes to raise standards across the organisation and challenge claims of bias. BBC chiefs are promising an impartiality revolution. It comes after a report that revealed a continuing culture of defensiveness at the BBC and accusations of groupthink. So, will the plan to crack down on impartiality work, and who's the right person to implement it? Well, here to weigh in on that is someone I have known and admired for a fair old time. It is the leading UK media analyst, Claire Enders. Claire, it's a real pleasure to talk to you, and thank you very much for finding time for us. This is something that we've both watched over a long period of time as disquiet with the BBC, often voiced through the licence fee, has grown, and the defund the BBC campaign has grown and grown and grown. Do you fundamentally think, as an impartial observer, that the BBC is impartial or not?
Well, I think that the findings of the Dyson report indicated that there were some real issues in how that impartiality is actually understood by the staff, by the HR department, and how it's actually propagated in every single aspect of the BBC's material. And I think that the fact that there is a problem with the BBC's own abilities across the board, given that it is an extraordinarily broad purveyor of news and all kinds of information and so on, all of which, as we know, can be subject to interpretation. But impartiality sits at the heart of the public trust in the BBC. And this is something that Tim Davies said, I think, in his first speech in September 2020. And so this is him delivering on that. But in between, there was the Lord Dyson report, which revealed a number of missteps and of course, groupthink, absolutely, verging on the cover-up, perhaps, not just a sense that the BBC was somewhat less accountable than other institutions or other people think that they should be. And so this set of measures is actually, if I may correct you slightly, and I do admire your work greatly too, is actually there to enhance impartiality. And this is most important in the run-up to the Charter Review in 2025. The public trust in what the BBC does sits at the foundation of public service broadcasting, and the BBC will be 100 years old in 2023. So it must reinforce this culture. It must constantly reinforce, as it has, I think, in this 10-point plan, covering so many different things, enforcing so many things on the staff, which actually turns the staff into 24/7 slaves of impartiality. But maybe that's good for their souls, and maybe that's what's required to regain fully the political trust. The public trust is there, and it's shown in survey after survey about the BBC, and its responses are very well understood. But the political trust has been shaken.
Absolutely, and someone we both know and admire, Roger Mosey, wrote in the Mail yesterday, quoting from the report, "Not all staff have a comprehensive understanding of editorial standards. There's sometimes a culture of defensiveness, a risk of groupthink is identified, an opportunity for the BBC leadership team to go further." Tim Davies is not a journalist. He's a very accomplished business person who ran studios and commercial sides of things. Is he the guy to take a grip of this, as opposed to Lord Hall, Tony Hall, who was first and foremost a journalist who became Director General? Is Davy the man?
Well, I think that you need to have that change of approach and also that fresh pair of eyes, because, in fact, Tim Davies is the editor-in-chief of the BBC, and the buck stops with him, and he is the first port of call for every single problem that his staff, are capable of throwing up every day. So I think part of this message is a very stern and uncompromising tone to remind all of the employees of the BBC that a condition of their employment is in fact a commitment to impartiality. This is something that Tim has made a great deal of. And Lord Hall had many other cares upon his shoulders. And he was, as you say, a journalist, I think fundamentally always in tune with a certain journalist groupthink that whatever they're doing is absolutely blessed and wonderful, and they don't think about things. And I think another really important element of that 10-point plan is something that I have always championed at the BBC and always, I hope, been part of, which is the diversity of voices about this country. I think, you who are GBNews, you're trying to represent the diversity of this country. That's incredibly important for a public service broadcaster, and for the greatest force of public service broadcasting in the world. To be able to do that and then to retain that trust for another generation is going to be that responsibility rests on the shoulders of Tim Davie and him alone. And of course, the chair and the board. And let's face it, that report was conducted by Sir Nicholas Sirota and by Sir Robbie Gibb. And Sir Robbie Gibb is a very young man, and I'm sure he's going to be on the board of the BBC for a good long time to keep the BBC to account for his elegant and excellent work, and that of his colleagues.
Final point, and I genuinely don't think it would have been likely when we first met, that now the appointment of a successor to Laura Kuenssberg as political editor and the appointment of a new head of news succeeding Fran Unsworth is now the meat and drink of public open debate. We want that person because they're on-side global think tank. We don't want Kevin Bakhurst because he's an Ofcom type. I mean, that is quite extraordinary.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that this review and the adoption of every single finding of this review highlights is the fact that impartiality is a system-wide delivery that the BBC is giving. And so if every single member of staff actually understand it afresh, understand they're going to be fired if they flout those commitments and if they do silly things, or, as you know, journalists, I'm sure you know, often do silly things, very silly things. And so to stop everyone from doing that. And so in a sense, this review is actually a response to what I would call our people-based issues, which the BBC can never fully solve because every human being comes with political baggage, human baggage. And of course, we've all said regrettable things at one time or another of our long lives, or indeed sometimes of our short lives. And so I think that this review is holding all of the employees to account under the guidance of the chief executive effectively, and also the editor-in-chief, a very, very difficult co-position to hold, I think, simultaneously. And I think the timing of how this review was done, it was absolutely right on the button. The Dyson report came out 6 months ago. This is right bang on the button to solve these problems well in time for the review of the Charter and to reestablish political and public trust in full.
Let us hope so, because like you, I think the BBC is crucially important, but is far from perfect. Claire Enders, lovely to see you again, and thank you so much for your time this Sunday afternoon.